All right, so today we're talking about 0.1 planning for solving. So there is a 4-step plan that we're going to talk about for solving word problems. And so the first step is understanding. First step is going to be understanding the problem. So to solve a verbal problem, first you must read the problem carefully and explore what the problem is about. The two main things you need to take away from this, you need to identify what information is given. When you read the problem, what information is given to you? They give you numbers, will tell you what you need to know. The second piece of information you need to identify what you need to find. So what is this question asking you? After you understand the problem, after you have identified what information is given and identify what you need to find, you are going to go to step 2, which is plan the solution. Some key points from planning the solution. You need to make sure that we choose a variable, okay, to represent the unknown number. And what we call that defining the variable. So we got to be able to define a variable. After you define your variable, which is your unknown, then you need to be able to write an equation. So those are the main parts of step 2. You need to be able to define a variable and then be able to write an equation. After you have written your equation, you are ready for step 3. Step 3 is just solving the problem. What you're going to do in step 3 is you're going to solve the problem. And then finally, we get down to step 4, which is check your solution. And these are the 2 questions you need to ask yourself when you are checking your solution. Does your answer make sense? Does it make sense in the context that we're talking about? And if we were talking about the number of students in this room, someone wrote an equation and we got an answer of 17,000. That wouldn't make sense, right? Obviously, there's not 17,000 students in this class. And then, does it fit the information for the problem? Does the terminology fit what the question asks? Question could be miles per gallon. And don't worry, if you didn't get everything written down, you have a chance to come back to this here after a bit. So when we take a look at the first problem, it says Ling's hallway is 10 feet long and 4 feet wide, and he paid $200 to tile this hallway. How much did Ling pay per square foot for the tile? So the first thing you need to do is you need to understand the problem. And when you understand the problem, Brian, what did I say was the 2 things you need to be able to do? You don't remember? All right, I said identify the information that's given. So tell me some information that's given.
It's 10 feet long, 4 feet wide.
Okay, so we know the measurements of the hallway. And the measurements of this hallway were 10 feet long and 4 feet wide. Dominic, do I know anything else?
He paid $200 to tile his hallway.
Yeah, the other piece of information they give us is that he paid $200. So the 2 pieces of information that were given were that the hallway was 10 feet long by 4 feet wide and that he paid $200. The other thing I asked you to do was to identify what you are being asked to find. What is this asking us to find? How much it is per square foot. So price per square foot. Okay, and that is right there, price per square foot. That is what we are trying to do. We want to know the price per square foot. So that's understanding the problem. After we understand the problem, then we are going to plan the solution. And what plan the solution really is it means, hey, we're going to define the variable and we're going to write the equation. So what we don't know is we don't know this price per square foot. So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce a variable. Since this is the first time introducing a variable, I want to tell you this is what we're going to write. We're going to write let f represent the cost of each square foot. So we're going to let the letter F represent the cost per square foot. So that's how you define the variable. After you define the variable, then you have to write an equation. So to be able to write an equation, we have to know something. We need to know the area of the hallway. So if I want to know the area of the hallway, how would I find that? Dominic?
Add 10 or multiply 10 times 4.
Yeah, we're going to multiply 10 by 4. And so I get an area of 40 feet squared. Reason I needed the area was because of that's how much he paid for. He paid for 40 square feet. 40 feet total cost him $200. So now we're ready to write our equation. And when we write our equation is going to be 40 times the letter F is equal to 200. Because he had 40 square feet, that is the area of the floor that he tiled. We want to know how much each one costs, that's the letter F, and we spent a total of $200. So now we are ready to go on to step 3. What was step 3?
Solving the problem.
Yeah, solve. So when you solve this problem, 40 times F is equal to 200. We are going to divide both sides by 40. My 40s cancel, and I get F is equal to 5. So my answer is $5 per square foot. My answer is F is equal to $5 per square foot. And then the last piece that we need here is we need to check. So we've done everything. Now we just need to check our answer. And to check an answer on an algebraic problem like this, we're just going to substitute it back in. So we're going to substitute 5 back in for the variable F. So 40 times 5 is equal to 200. Then you use your calculator and make sure 40 times 5 does equal 200. So I get 200 is equal to 200. So it does check. Step 1, identify what we know, identify what we need to find. Step 2, write or define a variable, write an equation. Step 4, solve the problem. Or step 3, solve the problem. Step 4, check the solution. Have any questions on that? All right, flip it over. When we get to the back side, we're going to use the same thing, same process. As Emily's family drove 254.6 miles. Their car used 19 gallons of gas. Describe the car's gas mileage. What's my first step? Understand. And when we understand, we need to identify what's given. What's given to me? Mileage, right? Tells me how many miles we drove. What else is given to me? Gallons. So I know the number of miles. I also know the number of gallons. So for understand, we know that we drove 254.6 miles. And we also know that we used 19 gallons. Is that all the information that was given to us? Yes. What is the next step? Plan. Are we ready for plan? I don't think so. We still didn't answer the question. What is it asking for? What is it asking for?
Car's mileage.
Yeah, the car's mileage. That's what we're looking for. What is the car's mileage? That's the final question. That's what we want to know. What is the car's mileage? Okay, but then I liked your guys' process from there. You said now we need to plan because we have some information here. Now let's go ahead and plan. When we plan, what do we need? What was the first step? Anybody remember?
Define the variable.
Define the variable. Okay, you can use any variable you'd like. We're going to use G. So we're going to say let G represent, does anybody know? Okay, we're going to let G represent the car's gas mileage. What was the next thing? Not yet.
Write an equation.
Write an equation. Okay, write an equation. So I'm going to write an equation. So gas mileage is what I want to know. I drove 254.6 miles and I used 19 gallons. So my equation is going to be G is equal to 254.6 divided by 19. Now I heard it over here. What do we do now? Now we're going to solve. Okay, after we get our equation, we are ready to solve. So step 3, we solve. So you type into your calculator 254.6 and you divide it by 19 and we get G is equal to 13.4. What would my label be on this? 13.4. What's my units?
Miles per gallon.
Miles per gallon. Okay? Because that's what the question asked us. If you go back up, the question we wanted to know, what was the car's mileage? What was it being used? Okay? How many miles per gallon were we getting? So we were getting 13.4 miles to the gallon. Now we're almost done. What is my last step?
Check.
Check. So my last step is I need to check. And when I check on this one, what am I going to do?
Multiply G by 19.
Multiply G by 19. Okay? So that's one way to go about it. Okay? We also, they round it a little bit so we could use an estimation. Either way would work. So you said multiply G. What was my G value? 13.4. And we multiplied it by 19. And that gave me,
254.6.
so I'm hoping that it gives me 254.6. When you go ahead and type it in your calculator, 254.6 is equal to 254.6. So it does check. Okay, we plugged it back in.